With some raised crops, you have the situation of some harvests being stored as inventory to sell later, and other harvests that's sold directly from the field. When selling the raised crop directly from the field, you actually have two choices. You can either enter all the harvests through new crop production and sell all the crops using the template DT Sell Raised Inventory. That means that everything just goes through inventory, but it goes in and out of the inventory at the same period of time when it's sold from the field. Or you can enter the sales directly from the field using a template DT Increase Revenue, and it doesn't go into inventory at all, and you would enter no new crop production transaction for those sales directly from the field. The end result is the same, except that the entries that are using the DT Increase Revenue are not going to have any inventory activity, but it still will update the crop production center detail, and we're going to talk about that in this session. So first of all, under the crop production center detail, under setup, profit production center, and our crop production center detail, we're going to look at this 19 Wilton East corn. We're going to do some direct from field sales for that particular production center detail. And what we want to make sure happens is that our total production information is updated for that sale. This information is updated through your new crop production. Whenever you put in that new crop production, that increases in inventory, and you first have to pick that production center detail, it is updating this total production information with the transaction production and calculated production if there's a landlord involved for a share agreement. In this case, when we are doing the sale from the field, we want to make sure that our template is set to update those production details. The way that's done is under Setup, General, and Data Entry Template. Our template that we're going to be using is DT Increase Revenue, and your template should be already set for you, but you're going to want to check and make sure that on the detail of that template and highlight the journal for the income portion. Notice that in this template, there's only two journals happening. There's only the bank and the income. There's no longer a change in raised crop and an inventory adjustment like there is on selling raised crop inventory. This one is just between the bank and the income, but on the income journal, we'll want to click the advanced button and make sure that there is a check mark in adjust production quantities. This is what's going to update your production information on your crop production center detail when you enter a revenue that has, number one, a quantity in it, and number two, a production center detail selected. That is the indicators for updating that crop production center detail. So make sure that check mark is on your template, and if it isn't, go ahead and check it and then just resave that template. Now let's go ahead and enter our receipt of our sale from the field. So we're going to select our bank account, and we're going to select who we sold that to, which we're going to pick the elevator. All right, and we can put in our date and the amount that we sold it for. So we're just going to put in, we had 45 acres in this field that we're going to sell, and we need to pick our account that is for the sale of that particular crop. So that is our corn sale in this case, and we are going to say that we sold 12,300 bushel, and it was corn, but we're going to go to the detail button. Notice our detail is red. That's because our default template that we've set on here is DT Sell Raised Inventory. Well, in this case, we're going to sell from field. We don't want to use this template. We're going to use our DT Increase Revenue. So we're going to switch our template to our Increase Revenue. That changed the fields. Now there's no longer an inventory selection. And our amount came over, our quantity came over, our income is here. We have to pick our crop production center detail. That's very important on the sale from field, or we're not going to get that detail assigned to this sale for this crop. So we're going to pick our 19 Wilton East corn. And we have our profit center and year that it filled in. We don't need an inventory location because we are not storing it. And we don't need any of the other details. We could put a notation if we wanted to, but we're ready to click OK. When we expand out this journal, there's just the two accounts that are being affected. The cash is getting debited and our revenue account is getting credited, increased for the 43,665 and the number of bushel. And we also have our other details out here for our production details. We can go ahead and put a memo in if we want, and we're ready to save this transaction. And when we save this, we're going to go back over to our crop production center detail and look at our 19 Wilton East, and you'll see that it updated our detail for 12,300 bushel from that revenue direct from the field. And if we do an income statement under reports and financial statements, and we're going to do one just for November, that was the date of our transaction, and preview, we're now seeing our sale of the 43,665 for our sale of corn. And it had some other costs here already that have been assigned from costing out our work in process accounts. So the end result will be the same on the direct from field sales, but just keep in mind there will be no inventory activity on those particular sales.